TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot Interview Series. Today we are joined by none other than Dr. Death Steve Williams, a true legend in the sport of professional wrestling. He's been in Mid-South, UWF for Bill Watts, the NWA, WCW, and of course a legend in Japan, for All Japan. And thank you for coming to our offices today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We were going to have you yesterday, but...
As you said, this is a shoot.
Yes.
You'll find out a lot about Steve Williams, Dr. Death.
I guess my first question I want to ask you is how you got started in the business.
I got started in the business. I was a four-time All-American at University of Oklahoma as an amateur wrestler, and one-time All-American at football. And I already had the name Dr. Death. I received that name in junior high school when I shattered my nose amateur wrestling. I used to do this throw that I'd grab. It's like a Japanese wizard, and I'd catch it, and when I hit the guy's arm, I was so powerful, I'd hit it, and his arm would hit me in the nose, and it'd break it. And so, and after stopped the match and everything, finally a coach from a different high school, this is in Denver, Colorado, gave me an old-time goalie hockey mask. And it wasn't like the one you see now, Jason, all white and everything. It was just right here and had eye sockets, and then it came around the mouth and had a little hole and two holes for the nose. And first time I walked out to the wrestling mat, my assistant coach yelled out, Dr. Death Steve Williams. So that's how I got my name in the business, and became into the business was Bill Watts. Used to go to the NCAs and watch me wrestle, and I already had the name. Nobody just called me Stone Cold Steve Austin or something like that. Thought their coffee was Stone Cold, but I got the name because I earned the name, and been beating up people ever since. And Bill Watts saw me one day and said, "Hey, come on, would you like to become a wrestler on your summertime?" And I never worked because I always trained for two sports, And I said, "Okay, I'll try it." And I went out and made a few bucks, and I kind of liked it.
Were you a big wrestling fan growing up, pro wrestling?
Well, to a point. I mean, I lived up in Colorado, and I used to watch the old Minnesota boys. The Vern Gagne guys come down there now. Gosh, the two brothers who was bald-headed, the Vajan. Yeah. Right. We watched them. I used to watch wrestling. It'd be on Sunday, and we'd have little league football games. We'd watch that, and we'd all get over to the guy's house, watch that, get us all fired up. But never in my life thought I was going to be a pro wrestler.
Who were some of the guys that actually started training you?
Oh, boy. These would be a classic ones to pull out. The Turk, Alibaba, they called him, and Billy Starr.
Right.
And really, I'll tell you, that they're the ones, they didn't really train me. They showed me how to hit the ropes as hard as I could and tried to break the ring, because I'm a shooter. And I was learned to go in here and tear the ring apart, and I was just hurting my ribs and everything else. But the ones I really learned was the partners that I worked with, and the people I worked against, and Ted DiBiase, Terry Taylor, Terry Gordy, Mike Rotunda, Stan Hansen. All of them were technicians. All of them were brawlers. Like I said, I'm not that old, but I'm from the old school, and I know what it took to get back on the ring and what I had to do. And these guys taught me how the technique of it and how to tell a story. Now that's what pro wrestling's missing. There's not a story. It's a high spot.
Yep. What was your initial impressions of Bill Watts?
Well, I thought he was the toughest SOB I ever met in my life, Yeah, when I first met him, he had me come to his house and train, and
right.
That was a big deal. As soon as I went to his house, I thought I was at a fort because his gate's locked. the German Shepherds were out, and you couldn't get out of the house, and I was in the back, and was in the garage, and the greatest thing was Bill Watts says we're going to learn how to be a pro wrestler today. And he's got an amateur mat down. I said, oh, okay. Bill Watts had shot Alibaba into the wall like it was the rope,
right.
And he worked it and he bounced off, and Bill gave him a big tackle, I said, I understand that part, So I took the Turk thing, and Bill goes, you do it. So I've got Turk, man, I threw him off. He went right into the wall and put a big old wall right in between the 2x4s, right in. Right. And it made a hole, and Bill just made this garage, just redid it. Bill was good. I mean, he was so mad. I mean, I seen him just turn bright red. He goes, you guys are going to Shreveport the next day, because that's where we ran our TV and stuff. So,
right.
He was a tough cookie, and I've met a lot of tough cookies, Gene Kaninsky, Bruno Sammartino, and, all the tough ones.
A lot of people we've done interviews said Bill Watts was sort of a bully, so to speak, when he worked around with the boys and stuff like that. Do you think he was a bully, or do you think he was just trying to run a good business? And
he ran a good business.
Right.
What a lot of companies are lacking right now. They need somebody to be on top of it. You come to that major part of the business, man, and he ran a top shelf business. I mean, hey, we did a lot of miles. I lived in a car. That's what I did when I got out of college. I mean, I lived in a car. I had an apartment, but I lived out of a car because I did so much traveling, but I've worked for every company there is. Every major company there is now. I've been in the business 19 years. And I can still say, and I could call him names because what he's done to me and things, he ran a good business.
Right. How did the rest of the locker room treat you when you first got started, as far as the Mid-South territory?
I'll come back with that question again. Now, let me hear that again.
How did the rest of the boys in the locker room treat you when you first started in Mid-South? Like, did they accept you right away?
Nope.
No?
Nope. I was a shooter. I was a top-notch amateur wrestler. The only guy who ever beat me, major guy, was Bruce Baumgartner, Olympic champion. And everybody had a bad taste because I was Bill Watts' protege. Well, I guess you could call it his boy. And but after people got to know me, I'm not, big head and ego trip, because I got a lot of gold medals at home, and they ain't buying me nothing. I'm into this business for money, and that's what I'm here for. I believe, sure, all them belts are nice, man, but the belts don't buy you no house.
Right.
And don't buy you, what your kids need and stuff like that. But they didn't take to me very well, and they got to know me, and I'm a heck of a guy. I mean, I do my job, when I get done with my job, that's my time.
Right. What are your memories of your matches with Terry Taylor?
Just right when you say his name is always and we were just talking about a medal. They came up with a TV title medal, and they gave it to Terry Taylor, right? And it was, and Terry Taylor was always babyface, good-looking boy and everything, and Dr. Death here, you got long hair, black beard, and scars, 108 stitches in the eye, and split up, all the time. And so they want me to go after this doggone gold medal, TV title championship deal. And I went right out there, just like I do most of my stuff. I'm a straightforward guy, and it was on the pole. I grabbed the pole, and I said, I'm the champion. Terry Taylor had the mic. He says, you ain't no champion. You didn't beat nobody for this. I said, I'm a champion. I've got credentials to prove I'm a champion. I've got rings that been to every major bowl, 4-time Big 8 champion. I can name them all to you, Terry Taylor. And he got a little smart with me, and I smacked him with that doggone medal right in the face, man. You guys probably seen the video. I smacked him right across and left him. I said, boy, what a heel that was. I didn't beat nobody for it, but I felt like that medal was my medal, you know.
Right.
And then, you know, I'll tell you what, Terry Taylor's a great individual. He's great for our business. You know, it's a funny thing I got to talk about, but when they called him a Red Rooster, man, that killed him.
Right.
That hurt him, and I don't understand why, but now that I've been through the so-called WWF, and I know how he does take care of other boys in the business that are great, that are credentials that made pro wrestling.
What are your memories of the night you got 103 stitches to your eye?
What a rush. As our good friend Hawk would tell you, what a rush. It was a rush. I'll just tell you the whole story. I had to go out there and wrestle against Brad Armstrong. He's the one who did it to me.
Right.
You know how Brad Armstrong, if you know Brad Armstrong, because I know Brad Armstrong, I know most of the world, he's timid as can be, nicest guy, could do anything, take his shirt off for you. If the only shirt he had, he'd give it to you, you know. I'm still young, green. I shot him in that rope. I hit him with a doggone clothesline. I thought when you clothesline somebody, you take that head off.
Right.
When I threw it, boy, I hit him so hard, it flipped him, and his arms were so loose. His elbow came up and popped me right in the corner of this eye right here. And it cut it all the way through here and 5 little splits right here. They had to go in that night. Well, the greatest thing is Bill Watts. We'll get back to Bill Watts again. That's how great guy Bill Watts is. He goes, kid, you got to go out for the next TV. You and Ted are defending the belts. And I'm going, I'm young. Okay. All right, I'll go do it one more time. So they're jamming. I mean, it's bleeding everywhere, right? They're jamming Vaseline up there to stop the blood and everything. Right. And it's swelling up and everything. I went out there and wrestled with Ted, and we leveled the people out and cleared out, and I went to the hospital, and I tell you, they took the IV bottle. It was plastic, and they'd take the IV and they'd hold my eye open because they had to clean all the mess out.
Right.
And it just looked like a doggone garden hose right at your eye, and put a full blast, and they went, sprayed it, cleaned it out, man. They had to stitch inside as well as outside, because it was around that. I'm lucky my eye was still there, for them, and my eyesight was still good. But hey, man, that was another good thing they was talking about, 108 stitches. I mean, it's in the business, as long as they're talking about you, you're doing well, man,
right.
know.
What are your memories of working matches with Butch Reed?
Wow. Yippee-yi-yay when I hear about Butch Reed, the old rodeo master. I'll tell you what, he was, for black gentlemen in our business, he was one of the best. There's been a few, but Butch Reed could hold his own end. He could do a heck of a promo, just like God bless JYD. I mean, you put both of them together, and you had some matches that was just. And I worked against Butch many years. It was great. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with him now.
Right.
Nobody knows, right? And I just hope he's doing well out there, because he was a great hand.
How about Ernie Ladd? Was he a good leader or teacher in the locker room at the time?
Well, I don't know if he was a good teacher or I'd say coach. At that point, Ernie Ladd was, he was trying to learn that kind of a system, being a booker.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he was hurting, bad knees and everything like that. But everybody looked up to him because what he accomplished. I mean, nowadays, these young guys out here in the business, now they don't look up to you. They don't know how they got there. How pro wrestling is there today for them kids to be making bucks like I've never seen before. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they're offered a lot of money for 6 months in the business, $150,000. That's a lot of money to me. You only been in the business 6 months. But, you know, everybody respected Ernie, so everybody looked up to him. But, you know, he wasn't as much as a coach like I would call Stan Hansen's a coach. I looked up to him so many years over Japan. Bill Watch is a coach. Dusty Rhodes was a coach. You know, I couldn't say there was a coach at all up at WWF.
Right.
There wasn't.
I'm going to ask you about WWF soon. How about Ted DiBiase? How important was he to you?
Fantastic. He was like, you know, in your career, in your life, you know, you come across friends that are in your business that are acquaintances, but you don't call them friends. And with Ted DiBiase, he was a best friend. He was a brother. He was just like Terry Gordy and God bless Gary Albright. I mean, they were all three like my brothers, right? I learned a lot off of Ted. I mean, that's where I learned how to be a heel, how to be. I was always the strongman gimmick. I was always just rough and rugged, but I didn't know how to do that little cheating stuff that the heels got, and where you wanted that, where the people were booing at you, you know. And I learned a lot from Ted, a lot. I mean, he taught me a lot, and it was the greatest run I had, you know, with him as being as a teacher, and we had the Mid-South belts, and I mean, it's a great guy. And you know what? He's great now because he's in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and I live in Shreveport, and he's on our TV all the time because he's a reborn Christian, you know, preacher. And it's great, you know, it's kind of neat, you know, because I know Ted DiBiase. Huh. I know Ted DiBiase. And it's great to see somebody change their life because I have nothing to hold either. I was wild and crazy in my young days too. You know, we all come to an age that we all grow up and say this stuff ain't for us, you know.
Right.
But I'm happy for Ted. It's great to see him.
How about Jim Duggan? What are your memories of Jim Duggan?
Oh! Where's the 2x4, man? I mean, he can flip that thing up and catch it, not even have a splinter in his hand. I mean, you know, I'll tell you what, Jimbo is, I call him Jimbo because when I broke in this business, you know, like a lot of guys will tell you, you don't have no place to go. You don't know where to go, what to do. Jim took me into his house. I lived with him, and for this business, he's the greatest guy I ever met, man. I mean, he just, like the other night, I was just telling him when we were coming over here that he still gets the pops.
Oh, yeah.
You have Lance Storm out there memorizing this doggone speech he's got to do. He doesn't go all off the top of his head. And you're watching Jim back in the background, and he's being Jim. Oh, and the whole place goes crazy.
Yep.
I mean, you know, and Lance Storm is trying to be, I'm a robot, and this is how we're going to do it tonight, instead of being yourself. In our business, that's where most of the money you made was being yourself. I mean, that's how what's his Giant Baba, All Japan became successful because he had different wrestlers being themselves, not robots. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was such a great territory to go to, because you go in there, be yourself, tear down the house. I mean, I go through wrapping people in the head with chairs, and they'd love it.
Right.
Please do it again. You know, they were asking. You know, so Jim, hey, you know, they're still bringing him because he's a crowd pleaser.
Right.
You know, and I mean, he looks good, a little heavy right now, but I mean, you know, that's what happens when they put him in a position like that, you know. But he can cut a promo, brother.
Yep.
I can see him have a bad day and sit here and can't even think of everything. And he'll go outside and get a breath of fresh air, come back in, brother. He'll cut a promo, and I mean, dead shoot, you know.
Right.
And that's what the business needs, you know. Now it's just, they got them all reading papers and stuff. Use your charisma. Use your mind. You know, get into the people's mind. You think about this one here, the people's mind. Jake the Snake. When he tells the interview, brother, He wouldn't yell at you. You just sit there and talk to you calmly and be Jake the Snake. He was the top in interviews, brother. God bless him. I wish his life would turn around again. But, you know, we saw that movie, Matt?
Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat.
I won't get into that, but I'll just tell you my story about that guy. Whoever did that was pretty
Very lonesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty bad.
Right. Made him look really bad.
It really did.
Right.
I mean, why? Guy's gone down to stuff happens to him. Why do you want to expose it? You know?
Right.
But hey, we're talking about Dr. Death now.
How about your memories of your matches with the Rock and Roll Express?
Wow. Probably one of the best or top baby faces I've ever worked against. People would talk about the Mid-South, how tough Mid-South driving was, town to town. Nobody talks about how crazy the people are in Mid-South. I got Cajun Ragins down there, man. Gee, we'd be down in, I'll tell you a little story. Ray Hernandez,
right.
Hercules, was my partner. We're beating up the Rock and Roll Express in Houma, Louisiana.
Right.
Brother, I finally had to tell Ricky, get up and beat the heck out of me. They were coming over the barricade at us. You know, I said, come, so I can get out of here, man. You know what I mean? So he comes up and starts making his roundhouse. Brother, we got through that crowd and got to the door, and somebody locked the heels dressing room. And, you know, when you're a heel, you get wild stuff happen.
Right.
First thing I did was grab the young little boy right there, and there was a window, and I put him right through the window. I said, please unlock this door. He unlocked that door, brother. We got in there, shot him through, and bolted that door, and they were coming through the doors. We just grabbed our bags, got in the car, and took off. I mean, back to those days, man, I mean, I had a van, $24,000 van, brand new van. I just got done beating up Jim Duggan. The next day, I stayed at the Sheridan. I beat him up in Shreveport.
Right.
Went down to Alexander, Louisiana. That's a 2-hour drive away. Stayed at the Sheridan. Came out the next day. My whole van, brand new, 24,000. One of them customized deals. You know, I thought I was big stuff too because I was young and everything. Sideswiped the whole thing, tore it out. I mean, the whole side of my van was ripped up. Now, that was wrestling back then. That's when you had the people. Now, you know, it's true entertainment now.
Right.
True entertainment. He's exposed it. Vince McMahon.
How did you wind up teaming with Bob Sweetan? How did that come about?
Wow, Bob Sweetan.
Mr. Pile Driver.
Wow, that's unbelievable, man. That's I ran the road with him as just like Dickie Murdoch. When I was there, Bill Watts put him up with me, and we worked not against each other as tag team partners. And I tell you what, that's from the hard school of hard knocks, man. That's one of them. You know, I mean, he was a tough cookie. You know, I was brought up in this business where all the tough guys were. You know, the old saying is, what's on the back of my T-shirt, what Jim Duggan says, come on, tough guy. Well, back then, that's what it was. All tough guys. I mean, they were football players, ex-wrestlers, you know, ex-bouncers, this and that. Now you got guys who sit behind a sewing kit being a wrestler, you know what I mean? Or knitting or making quilts, you know. And I mean, they think long hair and cut up bodies, what I tell you, it's a lot different. I mean, for a guy to go out there and tell a story in professional wrestling, tell a story in the ring and grab the people and bring them up and bring them down and control the people, not the people control the boys in the ring, that's when you're doing your job. It's an art. Pro wrestling's an art. Today, it's how much fireworks we can blow off, how many times we can flip off the world, how many times you can grab your jewels, and how many girls get a bigger boob job. That's what pro wrestling is. You know, sex and violence and that's all. I know that there's a generation right now taking that in. That generation's going to flip-flop.
Oh, yeah, we'll go up and down.
I've seen professional wrestling while we're talking about it all, I'll tell you about one guy that was a referee for me. Nature Boy Buddy Roberts. He's dead now. He's passed away. And he told me this 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago. He said, I've seen it go up. I've seen it go down. He said, it's going to do the same thing. You don't leave this business. He's talking to me. He says, they're always going to need wrestlers to show wrestling in the business.
Right.
The marquee is wrestling. We just got beyond the marquee now. You know, it should be live entertainment, as Vincey says. But,
right.
You know, he's going to have to come back down to wrestling.
What are your memories of when the Von Erich boys would come in for some of the Houston shows? Crazy?
Well, I didn't see them come. I seen them come in for a couple shows for Bill. Bill was hesitant to use them a lot. I went over there to work against Antonio Noki in I forgot what the place was. Fort Worth place. Nah, that's Sportatorium. It was bigger.
Will Rogers calls.
Yeah, it's the Will Rogers. That's where it was. Will Rogers. And that's how I got my spot over in New Japan. But I saw, I'll tell you bottom line, I saw the devil take over that family. I seen drugs take over. I seen fame. I seen what it does in every business, you know, what you play with stardom and the stuff we're messed with, you know. And it's, tell you what, I seen Von Erichs have Texas in their hand for the rest of their life. They controlled Texas territory. They could do anything. They could get free cars. They could go anywhere, get free dinners, this and that, whatever. Well, they let the drugs, fast women, fast cars, everything just take over. And when that happens, man, you don't know moderation, you don't know how to pull the reins on a lot of things, and it takes over on you. And it did. And you know, I saw a lot of crazy things, probably too crazy to even say on this video, you know. And I wrestled with Kevin over in New Japan, and it was unreal. Going to the ring, I was almost carrying him to the ring. When we got up there, I said, just stay up on the rope, okay, you know. So, you know, God bless him, man. You know, I seen a great territory there just fizzle right out, because I'd be still working over there, you know.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of things happen in this business. A lot of things. I've seen it all, you know.
How did things change in the UWF as the promotion got bigger?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll sum it up. Bill Watts went way out of his league.
Right.
I mean, he should have stayed right where he was. Had it all. UWF guys, I mean, you know, he started going all the way up to Chicago, and then he went out to California. He didn't have to. He could have stayed right there in that territory. And that territory right now, I live in Shreveport, Louisiana. They're starving. They're starving for wrestling, because those people were brought up in wrestling.
Right.
I go to the hockey game now because it's wrestling on ice. You know, and all the fans there, they're all the wrestling fans. I remember them all. And when I go, it's just, hey, Dr. Death, you know, and, you know, they're all wrestling fans, you know, and they're starving. If someone to open up a territory and keep their territory, but he just got beyond, you know, and then he saw some money get, you know, lost in money, and when he sold the deal to Jim Crockett, you know,
right.
We thought it was going to be set up, and I got screwed out of that deal too. You know, when the World Heavyweight deal was going to unification with Ric Flair.
Right.
I had one match with Ric Flair, and that was it. And I even got his belt, and they disqualified me. But that was the whole angle, because I guess because Ric Flair didn't want to work against somebody like me. I'm a shooter, and I guess he didn't want to get hurt. And the way I look at it, this ain't ballet. I mean, I'm hurting right now. I got 3 broken ribs. I've been babying them for 2 months and gone through a 3-week tour, had 3 weeks off and another 3-week tour. So, I mean, you live with it. You live with pain, So all I got to say is Ric Flair was a seven times, right?
14 now.
14. 14. Well, I don't watch it very much anymore. 14-time World Heavyweight Champion. He just never got to work against me. That, you know what I'm saying? For the belt.
Right.
I mean, politics are politics.
Right.
We've all seen that in this politic run with Gore and Bush. Jeez.
What are your memories of working with the Freebirds? Michael Hayes, Gordy, and Buddy Roberts.
Fight. There's a brawl. I mean, every time whoever was my partner, I mean, shit, man, I could name all the guys. One-man gang, it was a fight, man. I mean, Bubba Rogers, when it was Bubba Rogers, and I had to go against him on the World Heavyweight title. I mean, it was always a fight. I mean, and everybody, all the fans think, oh, wow, man, you live a great life as a pro wrestler and this and that, man. They don't really realize. I used to do 30 days on, 4 days off. And then I worked Japan. I'd work 5-week tour, and I'd go home 2 weeks, come back 5 weeks, go home 2 weeks, go back 5 weeks. I mean, having a family life was out of the question, and it was tough. But, hey, the wrestling part, you get geared up for it, just like every athlete goes out there when he hears the bell ring or if he hears the whistle of football. No matter at 15 to a half hour to an hour time, you're geared up for it. The stuff you have to deal with afterwards, the traveling, the people. Don't get me wrong, the fans are fantastic. I'm one guy right here, man, won't pass up an autograph. I'm going to sign everybody's autograph. Back 14 years ago, man, I was a heel. We wasn't supposed to sign.
Right.
What? You want to get out of here, you rotten jabroni. You ain't getting no autograph from me, right? That's the way we was taught. But now, you look at it in the business, they pay for a lot of things, man. I mean, I got a home because of my fans. And I got to tell them, God bless you, keep on coming. I've got a beautiful home. And I mean, I'll sign an autograph with 5 pass by, handicapped to an old lady. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter because they're my fans.
How close were you and Jim Ross back in UWF days?
Oh, wow, that's a good name to bring up.
Well, I'll ask you about him later.
Well, Jim Ross is as big as Marcus Wrestled Mar, who are in the office. He was a mark for Oklahoma football. He loved it. He loves how it was developed, everything went, and this and that. And, he knew I'm this close with Barry Switzer, and we was okay, good friends, back in them Mid-South days, and then we got up there to Jim Crockett, and they broke my arm, and we got Barry involved, and Jim got to meet Barry, and that was a big deal for Jim, it was kind of neat, be on the Oklahoma football field with Barry Switzer, this is, being out there with Emmett Smith, and, somebody like that, but hey, those were good days. There's no complaints, just Jim Ross. Jim Ross became bigger than life in his own self. He got beyond what Jim Ross should be.
Do you think Vince Russo played you guys against each other because Vince Russo didn't like Jim Ross? In Titan, I'm talking?
Sure. There was that kind of deal in there. Bottom line is how do you bring a guy into business who has done everything? I mean, I was about to bring it all here, but you probably got it all, buddy, on record. I've accomplished more than most wrestlers have done in 19 years. And for WWF to bring me in there, to put a mask on me, to cover me up, to not let me do any of my interviews, to not let me talk, to let Jim Ross be a spokesman for me, didn't even expose Steve Williams, didn't even get to open up the doors what Steve Williams is capable of doing. I've been putting seats in coliseums all over the world and places where I'm not even showing up They're just on TV screens and people are filling up. I know how to do it. I know how to control people. I know how to control a match. Jim Ross, when they brought us in, and I was a heel.
Right.
Jim Ross didn't want to hear the boos. You know, they were trying to divert me with Jim, and
Right.
Jim didn't want to hear the boo. Jim wants to be the babyface.
Right.
And that's what hurt the situation. You know, if he would have just went with the gig, he would have followed through, you know. You're probably going to ask me about Brawl for All and this and that, but that was the most stupidest thing I ever seen in my life. Nobody liked it. The fans didn't like it. I mean, great. God bless. I made a kid, Bart Gunn.
Right.
I mean, he knocked out the legend, so he's somebody now. And he's got a great job over in Japan. And but there's a lot more to wrestling than knocking out somebody.
Right.
You know, there's a lot more to, like I told you before, it is an art. And it's how you can control the people.
What are your memories of teaming with Dusty Rhodes and Bill Watts?
Just I couldn't run as fast as I could to the ring as I do now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every time I'd run to the ring, they'd both pull me back and they'd all jump on me. It's just, don't ever beat the boss to the ring. I'm the booker. Yes, sir. So I always had, because my deal, you know, guys, I always run
Right.
to the ring because that gets me fired up and started up, right? So that night, after I did it one time, it was like, now I stay behind them and just jog in place, you know.
Right, right.
But I tell you what, they were highlights, man. I mean, it was some great memories, man. I mean, I'm working with guys who were the top of the game back then, you know, and it was great. I learned, you know, that's how I learned from being put in those positions. Just like, you're throwing things at me, I'm going to throw some. My partner was Andre the Giant in Oklahoma City. And I just got into business. And I'm greener than baby's poo-poo. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm going to tell you the story because I always tell everybody this one. I'm watching everybody with tag team partners, you know. We got to learn the system here
Right.
now, what we got to do and everything. And okay, everybody gets in the ring and they sit on the second rope and they hold up the third rope and their partner jumps in. I said, okay, I got that far. So here comes, comes the Giant, and I'm going, okay, I got this down. And we're doing it in Oklahoma City, you know, and this is a big match, you know, bringing Andre the Giant, you know, Andre the Giant. And got OU wrestling team down here, with, you know, they're getting me all geared up and fired up too, right? So I go running out there. I sit on the second rope and put up the third rope as high as I could for the big man. I didn't know he climbed over the top of it, right?
Right.
Brother, he stepped over that top rope, man, and crushed me down. I fell down. I almost fell and took a bump, man. I was so embarrassed. I was bright red, you know. But I thought it was, you know, what a memory about Andre. I mean, that's Andre, right? I mean, he just... And then I've worked with him so many times in Japan that, wow, what a great guy to know too, man. I mean, you know, in this business, you know, a lot of these young whippersnappers that are in the business, they don't even know. They don't even know the inside of how pro wrestling got here. Andre the Giant, I can name that name.
Right.
Bill Watts, Bruno Sammartino. You know, that's people who made wrestling, you know. Vern Gagne's, even Stu Hart's, you know, the Harts, they all, you know what I mean? I mean, these young kids think, oh, I can do a flip off the top rope. I'm a wrestler. Yeah, that's not it, you know.
How did you start getting tight with Terry Gordy? When did you guys really start becoming really close?
Well, you know, I was working for New Japan, and he was working for All Japan, and finally I was asked to come over to work with with All Japan. So I was the first American to ever work for the Japanese company, for the two major companies.
Right.
And I got involved with Terry, and you know, I'd see him out down in Roppongi at the Hard Rock Cafe, and we'd have dinner and stuff. And we kept saying, well, you know, this would be a good idea to put this team together, you know. So we did a little bit of talking to Baba, and finally they brought me in. They wouldn't team me first. They first brought me in, and then I had to weigh it out who's going to take care of me between both companies.
Right.
And then finally I said, Mr. Baba, and then right when that happened, me and Terry shot straight up, because we was the strongest American team there was. I mean, we held, I think, 1 year, 5 consecutive times when we were challenged for the belts, we kept the belts, and I think we kept them like 2 years straight before we lost them. I think, I'm not too sure, but we held them longer than any American team ever did. But hey, Kai, there's a guy, brother. I mean, top of the game. I mean, there's one guy who's top of the game. I mean, he started when he was 16.
Yep.
So he knew his stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, I know you can remember this, Rob. Every time Terry get hit in the corner, he whipped that long hair back. It looked like it awesome. I mean, killing it, man. And he'd do that. I said, wow, that's wild, man. I mean, that's just a little thing that reminds me, but he's a heck of a talent.
Before we get into Japan, because I have a lot of questions about Japan, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. What about Eddie Gilbert? What are your memories of Eddie Gilbert?
Wow. Great wrestler. Great mind for the business. Great promo guy, too, good heart. Let other things convert him, and let him go the other way that thought was going to help and ease the pain of his problems that he's been put in. And we all know that, drugs and alcohol and all this goody stuff, and he gets rid of all the problems. But next one morning, if you wake up, it's there again. And what you got to do is go right back on it again. So, but God bless him and his family. He was great talent, and he's one guy too in the business that wasn't put in for what he put out for our business. He was never exposed to that point,
Right.
like myself. I've never been fully used like I should have been used,
What were your initial impressions of Sting and Ultimate Warrior when they were teamed with the Blade Runners when they first came in? Huh. Did you see the potential in them?
No, I didn't see the potential, but over the years I seen more potential out of Sting.
Right.
I just tell you this little story is that I watched some guys help him put the ring up, and I'm not that old now, okay? I've just seen some guys put up the rings, but I watched them put up the rings, and we had a match, me and Ted DiBiase in Amarillo, Texas. And that the Ultimate Warrior, hit Ted DiBiase with a clothesline. Looked like he gave him a little love pat. I got so mad, I jumped in that ring, like a bull, man, and Ted gets up, I go running at him, I grab him by the back of the head, and I hit that turnbuckle in the front of his head. I grabbed him, I shot him right into my arm, gave him a clothesline, and I said, "Kid, now that's a doggone clothesline!" Then I got back out, man, But, hey, what they did to Sting to make him, they put a lot of time into.
Right.
A lot of time. I've never seen, what killed me was Harley Race, world heavyweight champion for years and years. What was his finish? Front suplex, boom, 1, 2, 3. What he used to do to Sting, put Sting up, boom. Sting would be standing up before the guy who gave it to him to show that how tough he was,
right.
Strong, right? I went, wow, they killed off a move. A lot of guys killed off a lot of moves. I mean, look what I gotta do. The doctor bomb, I gotta put you on your head to put you out nowadays. You know what I mean? I mean, when the Oklahoma Stampede was good enough, now they want you doing, go on, you do it. Okay, I'll show you what a real suplex looks like. Okay, and now you gotta put them on their head to keep them down.
Right.
But there it's like front suplex. What a devastating move.
Even the pile driver used to be a finish.
Oh, it's great. You know, now it's just a high spot. You know, that's what they do. But, you know, I can't bitch about it, man. You know, because I can't change it. You know, I enjoy what I do over in Japan. I love it.
Was it you and Rick Steiner that rescued somebody from a car accident?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
What are your memories of that?
You got a good one there, Rob. Let me tell you, man. I'll tell you, Highway 13. Never forget it. Going down from, coming back from Beaumont, Texas. If you know Rick Steiner, he ain't one of them slow 65 mile-hour driver. You know, he's going ahead and test the whole speedometer, man. You know, we've been on a stretch, and we're going back to Alexander, Louisiana, where we lived, and I was in the passenger seat. There was a car behind us, and you couldn't see. He's back probably about 50 yards. And it's dark, and Highway 13, man, there ain't no lights, there ain't nothing. It's just a cutoff from Lake Charles. Slip instead of going all the way down Lake Charles, Louisiana, it cuts you over to Beaumont, Texas. I'll never forget it, man. And coming up, and Rob kept hitting me. You know, I'm half asleep, you know. I'm trying to get me a little snooze, right?
Right.
Doc! Yeah. Look at there. And I said, what? He says, look at, man, look at the fire. And, I mean, we must have probably been about 10 miles away. And I could see this little flame, this shooting flame up, man. I'm going, wow, man, and we're cruising fast, and the car behind us is cruising too.
Right.
Come right up on that. It's a cop, highway patrolman right behind us. I don't know why he never did pull us over because we were cruising pretty fast. Come up on it, man. Here's a truck coming eastbound, another one westbound, or whatever you want to call it, man. A head-on collision late at night. 3 guys in one car from Fort Bluff Army place right out of Alexander, an hour out of Alexander, Louisiana. 3 guys were in that car. 2 other people were in the truck. They were burned to death. I mean, I came up, you could see them. They were burning. There was a 50-foot torch coming out of their tank. Lucky it didn't blow up, you know. I gotta tell you, Rob Rickstein, hey, there's a brand new tire. Let's take that, you know. Oh, God, man, no, let's keep the tire there, okay, man? I don't want another hotness, you know what I mean?
Right.
So here we are, you know, I mean, what a flame, brother, you know, because it's coming right out of the gas tank. So here now we're trying to get the guys out of the car, the other car.
Right.
The door's jammed, right? And you don't know, you don't realize how strong you are when you're worried, you're scared, or, you know, something's happening bad. Rob and me tore that door right off the thing. We only saw 2 people, the driver and the backseat guy. The driver was dead. His chin was in the back of his neck. He was completely blue. We pulled him out. It was like pulling liquid out. I mean, he just flowed right out. And then we got the backseat guy out, and we could hear this moaning, you know, and there was a guy shoved up in the glove box. I mean, they must have hit so fast, so hard, that when it came, the engine split both of them. So let's say that engine came like that. It shoved him so far up in that glove box. There's the only way to get him out was to rip out the front seat. So me and Rob, you know, Rob's no lightweight himself, man.
Right.
Ripped that out. He came right out of the glove box department. I mean, it was unreal. We pulled him out. 2 guys died, and the guy in the back seat was alive. We came back to Fort Polk. Is it Fort Polk? Fort Polk, Louisiana. That's Fort Polk. Came up. Their car was sitting at the front of the base, and went to the matches. And the guy that we saved, he came out and shook my hand. He was wearing the same shirt that night and everything. And I'm going, wow. You know, I'm saying, brother, I just hope you all learned. I don't know what they were doing. I didn't want to know, but, you know, I became a baby face after that. That's how I was a heel all them years, and all of a sudden I was a good old guy, and good old guys. Isn't there a song? You good old guys. Well, that's how I became a baby face, because I helped some people out of the car. And that was them Louisiana roads, man, in Mid-South way. I'll tell you, we saw a lot.
Right. What are your memories of Rick Steiner back then? All good?
Great. I mean, great guy. He's always been a good guy. A little crazy, but that's what wrestlers are all about. They got a little bit of craziness in them. But Rob was good. When he first came in, I taught him. I trained him. I was in the ring. I had to work with him in the ring and stuff. And there's a lot of things that we have was good, and a lot of things were bad. But he stuck to his guns, and he got him a good position. And so did Scotty. Scotty got him to they're both great guys. I had nothing bad to say about them. I mean, they were great. Scotty's they've gone over the limit, but
right.
Whatever he's done, he's doing it well. I mean, but it's both of them are great guys. They're amateur wrestlers, and they're in that breed.
Right. What are your memories of your matches with the Sheep Herders?
Sheep Herders, man. Well, had some wild ones with them, and that's I guess how I became how I knew Johnny Ace.
Right.
Because he was the flag guy. He used to hold the flag. How do you get a job like that, man? I mean, I really, some of these guys, they get a job, and I'm going, how do they get that kind of a job, But, hey, the Sheep Herders were entertaining. I mean, and you know what? They worked hard, too, and those were the good days, man. I'm telling you, when they got the people rock and rolling, and I had some great matches with them, great matches.
When did you realize that Bill Watts was in trouble? Was it in '87?
Yeah, about '87 when we heard that some of the NWA guys came in,
Right.
And we started seeing that come in, and it was going, then people started talking, Then we heard it was up for sale. And then the ball was rolling, man. Everything was going downhill. Jim Crockett started losing, and
Right.
everybody's big talent then. I'll never forget that when they switched, our talent from over there talent, and it was great. The Rock and Roll Express, Flair, Art. I mean, all the guys I used to run with, everybody's trying to outdo each other. They all got limousines, What's that Charlotte Stadium we used to work at? There must have been 20 doggone limos there one time. I'm going, what do you get the rent-a-car, man? It's a lot cheaper, But, that was that era, man. It was, who's got the money that back then, But,
Do you think Crockett missed the boat when he bought the company because he could have done like a shoot interpromotional feud?
Oh, yeah, man. There's so much he could have done, and he didn't do it.
Do you think it was the fact he didn't want to put the UWF guys over his talent because it would have made them look weak?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, and Bill already had the formula. I mean, he just got a new building office in Dallas, and been doing great in business. I mean, if you just would have just played with it, but they click. Here we go with a click. They had their click,
What are your original memories of the Crockett Cup? You were in the first Crockett Cup, right? The original.
Yeah. Well, it's wild. I believe that was at
New Orleans.
Yes, it was. It was at the Superdome. Yeah, it was great, man. I remember taking a picture and was all holding the belt for the pro. What's his called? Abner.
Bill Apter, PWI.
Yeah, the belt, the cup we were all pulling against it. Yeah, that was good. It was a great tournament to have at the Dome too. That's where he should have. When he started doing his whole thing right there, that was the greatest place to start doing his working with the UWF, with NWA, start doing stuff with him. You know what I mean? Because he had a great house, great timing right there.
Now, right before Ted DiBiase left for the World Wrestling Federation, they started a feud. They did a promo. You guys did a promo together where I think you guys were going to start with a program or something like that.
Yeah, Alec phased out too,
Yeah.
right? See, we was going to work against each other, and then off into with Ric Flair's deal, right?
Right.
And then Kenny got the $1 Million Man, got offered $1 million, so that's where he went, and then they captured Jim Duggan.
Right.
Then too.
Right. Now, when you first got over to WCW, what were your initial impressions of them?
WCW?
Oh, I'm sorry, NWA.
NWA.
Yeah, when you first got over
it was NWA. Well, high classier guys. I mean, they all were spending a lot more money than we were.
Right.
You know, I mean, they were spending, they was getting a lot more money too, you know, and I saw the thing that Ric Flair always says for an interview, ride them fast cars, limousines, and fast women, and that's the way that it was over there. I mean, it was the fast lane life. I mean, we'd be in Lear jets or one of them airplanes that Jim Crockett owned, and I mean, limos would be picking us up. But you know, at that point, I mean, what he used to call them, the summer
Great American Bash.
Yeah, I mean, we were selling out, man, 100,000 people or whatever it was. You know, we was doing great when he could have kept it rolling if he would have done something with the talent that he got from Bill Watts.
Definitely.
Instead of just kept his boys up on top.
He squashed all the guys.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
What do you remember of your match with Barry Windham at Starcade?
Wow. It was a heck of a fight. I mean, he was a big boy, and he was their boy, you know.
Right.
I had a lot of respect for him. I fought him, and he fought me with the best ability. And I just booked Barry over in Japan last tour, and he looks great. A little bit thin. He's lost some weight because he's sick, but it was a hard-hitting match, you know, because it was against their top dog against our top dog, you know, and I wasn't going to lay down. I didn't know nothing but to go forward and
Right.
try to be the best of. Who used to say that old interview? To beat the best, you got to be the best. Yeah, you know,
Right.
I mean, that's how you felt back then. You know, if you had to go into a territory, I mean, you was going to fight, you know.
Did you miss not having Bill Watts around at the time? Or?
You know, Bill was phasing out anyhow, you know, and then it was like, well, Dr. Death doesn't have his golden key with him now,
Right.
you know, because his main boss is gone. I know how to take care of myself. I've always been a man's man, you know. I've never had to kiss somebody's tail or go behind somebody to come directly with somebody. I mean, I shoot you straight. It's just like right now I'm booking for All Japan Pro Wrestling, and I tell all the boys, I'm not going to BS you. I'm going to tell you straight up how it is because I want to be straight up. I want you to tell me straight up because if I find out the next day and something else turned around, I'm going to shoot.
Right.
I'm going to shoot. That's the way I'm top. You know, I want to be straight up with everybody because, you know, before in this business, it was like a, you know, kayfabe. Okay, kayfabe's dead. If y'all don't know him now, he's dead. He already died. Okay, because kayfabe's gone. I mean, we try to kayfabe, but kayfabe's gone. You know, back then, you know, kayfabe was the most important. Kayfabe? Okay, nobody's saying anything. You know, I mean, it was unreal, man. I mean, kayfabe. I mean, I almost jumped out of my clothes, man, when they yelled in the locker room, right? Because the commissioner or somebody.
Right.
You know, now it's just, I mean, they're out before the matches in the ring going over high spots. Now the people, that's a dance. You know,
Right.
that's a dance. I mean, professional wrestling's an art, man. If you know, they've changed it so much. But, you know, back to Barry Windham, though, man, he's a great wrestler. I mean, he's still Four Horsemen's man and always will have that how would you say, that title
Right.
behind him, you know, as the Four Horsemen. He's a great guy.
What did you think about when Ted Turner purchased the NWA? Did you think it was going to take off?
Big money. I thought big money. We're gonna rock and roll now. Turner, his own company, man, TV, all over the world. I mean, I thought he was bigger than Vince. I really did. I thought he was gonna, but he didn't let it expose itself like it should have. Where it could have gone. That's all with TV people, though, man. You never know what's behind the scenes and what they're thinking. Before we had, this is 2001, December 20th, so I don't know when this will be aired, but before, you had WWF coming out with everything. I mean, language, girls, butt naked, doing all kinds of stuff. And Ted Turner was holding back. And now you got them all doing the same thing, man. You know what I mean? So, why copy the other guy? And how far is that going to get you? And I believe if Turner would have opened the doors years ago and let them do what they're capable of doing instead of waiting now in 2001, I mean, they're way behind the scene. You know what I mean? I mean, they're trying to jump on somebody else's coattail and it ain't going to work. Then you go right back into wrestling. Right.
What are your memories of the Bash 87 series without Dick Murdoch?
Wild and crazy. I mean, Robbie, and a lot of people know that I've wrestled with probably the top stars of our business, and I've worked with some great guys, and Dickie was one of a kind, man. I mean, you talk about an art in the ring, that's an art. I mean, he was no pretty looking guy. He didn't have no abs. He had an old beer gut, and he believed in drinking Long Star, or what's the old beer, that Texas Long Star beer, and he believed in rodeo cold beer. He'd stick a case of beer in his trunk, and it might be 100 degrees out in Louisiana. And when he was done with that match, he'd drink that beer. That was called rodeo cold beer right there. I've watched Dickie. I've worked against Dickie. I'll give you a scenario of a match, man. I'm a babyface. He's a heel. Amarillo, Texas, where he's from. Where do you think I am when I walked out in that ring? I was the heel. He was the babyface. I mean, the people didn't care who I was. They hated me because I was working against. I was doing a barbed wire match, barbed wire fence match. First time I've done that. Dickie was crazy during that one too, but I learned a lot from him. It was hey, Dickie, man. Dickie was a great professional wrestler.
Now, did you work the Tower of Doom match at the Bash, or was that?
Yeah, the three cages. The 3 cages.
Right.
I was the one. I was the one who wasn't afraid of the cages. I was the one sitting outside rocking all the cages, and we were supposed to go up inside the cage. I said, "No way!" I went climbing all the way to the top, outside the cage, man. I thought that was a rush, man. I thought, all right, you guys are gonna put us in cages, like what it's like Donkey Kong. Mm-hmm. That's what it was like, But hey, that was a great experience, man. That was back when the Garvins were involved, man. I mean, what was the Garvin's name? Hands of Stone.
Ron Garvin.
Ron Garvin, man. He chopped the crud out of that Ric Flair, and Ric Flair chopped him back. They both be blistered. I mean, wow, yeah, that was great, man. That tower, when they came up with that, and they said I was in it, I was on a high, man. I was going, yeah. You got all these big guys all bolted up and everything, and they're all afraid to even get up. Boy, I wanted to know what I was going to be in, If this thing's going to fall apart, I'm going to make it fall apart. You know what I mean? So I was out there shaking and rocking and rolling, man. I said, I'm going to climb up. And I got to the top, man, and then people, it was at the Omni, right? Yeah, man. Yep. That was great. That was great.
How close were you, before you got together with the Varsity Club, how close were you with Kevin Sullivan and Mike Rotundo and all backstage?
Kevin Sullivan, I wasn't very close to. He was in the booking meetings and this and that. And then Mike Rotundo I've known for many years, with the Varsity Club. Right. He wrestled at Syracuse, and I knew him from way back then. I knew what kind of gentleman he was and what kind of athlete and businessman he was. But Kevin and I didn't know too well, and they put him with us. And Kevin, he didn't see the vision, you know. Kevin, they're putting us in a varsity club. We're all in our amateur wrestling letter jackets and everything. Kevin's coming out with his devil worship stuff. And we kept trying to tell Kevin, now, Kevin, don't you think you'd look better if you had a baseball cap on, shirt that says coach, and with a whistle, and shorts, and sat out there, and they've done this now. Well, we came up with the idea. It's not patent though, you know. But if he would have came out there and blown the whistle and kept blowing it, and you know how irritating that gets. You know, he'd be booing him before he knew it, right? But you know, then they brought it back. They tried to bring Varsity Club back this year ago. Back a month. This month I came back a year ago, right? Yeah. Back to WCW, and they tried to put the Varsity Club together, and they brought out, oh my gosh, what was her name?
Kimona. Yeah.
I got Kimona out there with the short top and the dress. And then they got the whistle, and they're trying to do the coaching stuff, and instead of making the boys doing the exercise, they got the girl man. I mean, come on, man. You know, let's do some thinking on this. You know, if you're going to put something together, let's think about it. Let's just not. Why you want the cheerleader? Why? I mean, excuse me. Biggest thing you want her to do is be outside getting people mad.
Right.
You know, you don't want her doing one-arm push-ups and stuff like that, man.
Takes all your heat away,
Jumping jacks on the
I couldn't believe it. I said, well, who's thinking of this stuff?
Right.
You know, what happened to everybody's mind? And everybody just kind of said, well, we'll give it to what I saw when I came back from Japan. You got these riders. And I'm going to pencil neck riders. That's what I'm calling them. Because that's what they remind me of. You got guys writing out stuff, and they're not thinking what the business is all about. You know, why would you have a woman up there doing push-ups and sit-ups? I mean, I'd have her out there. Hey, and she was a pretty lady, man, too. Get some heat. Pretty women can get heat too. Yep. You know, and you got a coach guy.
Missy Hyatt back in UWF.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yep.
She'd get it, man. I mean, that was a lady. That was a heel lady.
Right,
you know what I mean? She could get them. But you got a guy out there blowing a whistle as a coach, and you got cheerleader. What kind of enforcement you've got out there to work the people, and then you got the boys. I mean, it's like this. Yeah, I'm going to tell you because I know this business, you know, inside and out. When you get in that ring, and let's say you've got a single match with a guy, it's not you against him. It's you and him and the referee. Okay, it takes all three of you to perform and to get these people off their butt, to get them involved. Okay? You don't, first thing my pet peeve is, if you blow off that referee, why do we got him? First thing the fans will say, why do you got a referee? You guys never listen to him. You got to have order. Football. How many umpire refs they got on? They've got about 6, 7 of them now, man. And they got guys with the TV replay watching. I mean, you know, and even at a boxing thing, they got a bunch of them. I mean, there's got to be order, you know. So to me, that makes a guy too. You know, I got off on a tantrum there because of my pet peeve, but you know, I believe it takes everybody in the ring. And what I was getting to is the enforcement they had with using that cheerleader and a coach, and then you got the Varsity Club in. I mean, whatever happened to fizzle that out, I'm bringing it back to Japan because it's called the 21st Century Varsity Club.
We'll talk, stuff about that. What are your memories of the War Games from 1989? It was in Baltimore. It was the Road Warriors and you guys. And
what you said, man. It was the War Game. It was the War Games, man. I was with Hawk when he went through his divorce. Probably one of the miserablest things I've ever seen a guy go through. But I was with him, and I was with him every day, and I was just going through it all. And I was fighting him. And we're in Chicago, and I pressed him. Got back to the locker room. He wanted to fight me.
Right, I remember.
He wanted to fight me because I pressed him. And I said, well, you're the only one in this business that can press somebody? I said, it ain't a patent deal here, brother. There ain't no patent moves. I mean, now everybody uses everything. It's no patent deal. And, well, he kept screaming at me, and you got Big Joe behind you. And then I'm going, now these guys don't want to fight me. You know, I'm a shooter. I'm a brawler. I'll get down on the mat with you. You know, I'll gouge your eyeballs out. You know what I mean? And he kept pushing. I says, "Hawk, hey man, let's take it easy." Finally, I got to the point. I said, "We're not gonna do it in the locker room." I said, "Let's just go outside and take care of it." Then nothing happened then. It all kind of fizzled out. Everybody kind of went their way, and I grabbed my bags. I went my way. You know, but it was a war. You know, it was. Because it was showing who was the toughest and the biggest guy in the business back then, and we was fighting, working it out, you know. And then with the Freebirds involved too, it wasn't no pretty scene, you know.
I was going to ask you your memories of your matches with Terry Gordy in WCW. You worked with him there,
yeah,
and even Mike Rotunda.
30-minute Broadways, man. I did 30-minute Broadways with Terry. I mean, learned a lot with Terry, a lot with Rotunda. I mean. That's good talent, you know. I mean, that's how you learn in this business. Putting a younger guy in with that kind of caliber, you know. Terry was, I mean, you know, been doing it since he's 16 years old. He ought to know the business, right? You know, and he had me in positions that I never been in, and how to work the people and this and that. And man, same with Mike Rotunda. Mike Rotunda was we could play off of each other because we knew amateur style moves, you know. Hey, he coming up with these names and he give me almost goosebumps because they were all great athletes, and that's how I got how my credentials got higher up in the polls with everybody, is because I worked with or worked against probably the top in the business.
Now, eventually you left WCW at the time. You did return back in '92, but before you returned, you went over to All Japan to work for Giant Baba. How'd you get hooked up over there?
Well, I'll tell you, I was supposed to be. That was the deal when the Stampede came out, and I was supposed to win the Stampede, but politics got involved, and things went wrong, and I got a tour over in Japan. It was only supposed to be a week tour, but it was a 2-week tour. I didn't come back, so I stayed over in New Japan, worked with them. And then we worked out a deal, me and Terry Gordy, with All Japan, and I was doing, I told you earlier, I was doing both companies, and I was doing 3 weeks New Japan. All the boys would go home, and I'd have to go over on the other side, go do 2 weeks with All Japan, and then I get 2 weeks home. And first week, as you guys know, after you come back from Japan, you're delirious. I mean, there's no way to come out of jet lag. It takes a whole week. So then I got 1 week of packing up my stuff, ready to go back over for another 5-week deal. So what happened was, how I got a better gravy deal on this is that All Japan offered me a higher price on my contract, and told me I'd be working almost every tour. And I said, you know, and Giant Baba was great, you know, and there's no complaints with New Japan either. I mean, Ricky, Noki, Sakaguchi, they all treated me with respect. The only thing with New Japan is with the credentials I have, all them young studs, they all wanted to try me. So it was a shoot every night. And you know, a lot of their boys got hurt, you know, because what I know and how to shoot, man, I know how to put you out. And that's the only thing was different. When I got over to All Japan, became it was a work,
right?
But in a shoot fashion.
Stiff as hell.
Yeah, and stiff as.
What are your memories of your title win over Stan Hansen and Jumbo Tsuruta?
Oh, when I went over him, probably like going over Hulk Hogan here in the United States, going over Jumbo Tsuruta or Stan Hansen, just like what I just said, like going over Hulk Hogan here in the United States. Those guys were they're that powerful. they're main event people, and when I got to go over on both of them, man, it was a big highlight of my career. It'd be just like if I was in Madison Square Gardens tonight and going over Hulk Hogan. I mean, it would be, big thing.
What do you remember some of your matches with Kada and Sawa?
Single matches or tag?
Single.
Well, I'll tell you about Kada. Kada may never hit off. We hit each other. Man, he's done put my teeth through my lips. I've had gaffes from his kicks. He's been beat up from my punches and my tackles and my moves that I put him in. Now we have more respect for each other because we're trying to make a company go.
Right.
He's the top Japanese. I'm the top guy, American. So we're trying to make a company roll again. I think we got respect there, but still, it was like a magnet. You could never get it stuck.
Right.
When you put them together, it'd slide right off each other. And with Misawa, I'd probably tell you he should have played linebacker. He had the best forearm I've ever seen in my life, man. I've been shivered by the best, too. I've played pro football, amateur football. I've been level. But he's got a forearm that you could, I mean, I got a picture of my house where he threw a forearm and my jaw's all the way over here. I know the camera position, but I'm telling you, brother, he knocked my chin from where it centered up all the way over on the side. And he had a great forearm. He's a heck of a businessman. He took 24 of our guys from our business, so he must got something good going,
Right.
I just hope the other boys are getting money too. I know he's getting his money, but you could see a big change now. You could see some changes because I've heard a lot of stories in the office part. They're not.
It's not done.
Yeah, everybody's not too happy.
How about Jumbo Tsuruta? What are your memories of working with him?
Well, slow, deliberate. Everybody says you steal a match, steal a move, steal this and this. Well, when Jumbo left the business, I came up and I grabbed the side suplex. Nobody was doing it. Jumbo did it different than I did. I did it how you do it in amateur. You put a guy around his head,
Right.
It's like freestyle or Greco. If you catch him, he's gone. And so I was doing it, and then I was picking up where he does the whole. I'd get up in the corner, and the people would follow with it, And my wrestling compliment. I mean, I learned a lot from him. You could tell by some of my moves how I worked, and I was working his style. I wasn't trying to steal nothing. I just tried to develop it into my own style. Now there's a lot of guys out there that just steal it bluntly, and they do it,
Right.
But I'm not trying to steal anything. I have a lot of respect for like a main event guy. I'm not going to be doing his finish, you know what I mean? And there's not too many people in the business can do the Oklahoma Stampede. I mean, there's not, you don't see it.
Sure.
Nobody picks up a guy and runs from one corner to the other corner and power slams. You don't see it. I mean, if there is, I want to see him do it because it's a tough job for me too. After you go 15, 20 minutes with a guy and then pick him up and to run across, you're reaching deep down because you know what? You feel that gold. You feel that hunger for that win. So you're gonna go. Okay, legs, don't fail me now.
Right.
I've got to make it to one side to the other, So, but it's been all good. It's been all good.
How about your memories of some of your matches with Towie?
Very slow, very deliberate. It's not as fast action as the other guys I've worked against. He's a lot slower. He's a big guy, sumo. He's deliberate. I had some fine matches with him. I got in trouble myself with drugs, and then they put me on probation, and I got in a little slight deal with their company, and had to prove my honors back when I grew up. You know?
Right. What exactly happened with that? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I got busted with marijuana, with,
Right.
roach going across the country there, and bad mistake, bad thing I got involved in. I was involved in a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs back then, and I can say now that I've kicked the habit. I've learned my lesson, you know, and I can tell a lot of people. This video will be out to see everybody, and I'll tell you there's a better way. And there's a lot of better ways than going out and finding a joint, gram of cocaine, alcohol, women. There's a lot other ways to humble yourself and to get a grip on life. And I'm a reborn Christian too, and I'll tell you the Bible is a lot better than a beer or a joint. You know, it really is. If you're in that in that fast lane, or if you've got problems in your lifestyle or something, pick up a Bible, and he'll tell you right out of that Bible what's going on with your life and how you can correct it and how to go on and how to make it better. It's been good. It's been good. It's been a heck of a learning lesson, brother. When I've been popped twice. You know, I've been popped across 2 borders, Mexico and Japan.
Right.
And it was a hell of an experience. I got stuffed on Mexico. Well, I shouldn't have got popped, and I got popped, and they made a bigger deal than it was, and got thrown out of court. They allowed me to bring prescription drugs over. I was seeing a doctor. But that became major news, too. But, you know...
I was going to ask you what your views are on painkillers and stuff.
Well, I'll tell you about painkillers. I believe in moderation. I believe if the doctor gives them to you and he knows what's wrong with you and you know how to use them and when to, it's not like, oh, I got 100 Vicodins. Let's take 100 Vicodins in 2 days. That's not what they're for. I mean, when I was young, man, sure, a Valium, okay, a couple Valiums, I'll take a couple Valiums, man. I'm going to relax from being so strung up being in the ring and stuff. But now I'm on Vicodin right now because I got 3 broken ribs. And how they tell you to take them every 4 to 5 hours. Well, I don't need them every 4 to 5 hours. When I feel the pain, when I can't deal with the pain, then I'll take a pain pill. You know, sleeping pills I don't believe in. You can get Excedrin PMs.
Right.
Halcyon, I've seen too many guys drop them. I've seen guys on Halcyon, but they don't even know what they're doing. You know, cocaine, been there, done it, wore the T-shirt, he'll kill you. The Rock kill you. I mean, I've seen a lot of people now empty-handed. They spend all their money. One thing is probably WWF used me when I came in there and I got hurt and everything, Pritchard and everything. He said, used me for an example of a guy that has been involved with alcohol, drugs, and divorced and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, for them to use me for an example was their little deal, you know. But it's fine now. I'm 40 years old. Use me for an example. Because I've seen it, done it, and I got every T-shirt at my house to prove it, man. I mean, I've seen it and done it.
Right.
You know, there's a lot better way. It's called the Holy Bible, man. And I'm not going to preach here because one day I might be right next to Ted DiBiase doing the same show.
Right,
you know what I mean? There's a calling on my life for that. So,
what are your memories of the match? It's really famous where you dropped Kobashi on his head.
3 times?
Right.
Tell you, it went 42 minutes. Yeah. It went 42 minutes. It's 19 days. I remember right off the bat. It was 19 days after I had my knee scoped. Took the last cartilage out of my right knee. 19 days later, I went 42 minutes with Kobashi. It was the match of the year. I dropped him on his head 3 times. First time, didn't put him out. He was dazed. Second time, dazed him again. Third time, I put him right in the middle. And I held it. When I held it, I knocked him out with it. But I miss having matches with Kobashi. He's with the other company now. I miss having matches with him because he was a great athlete. He did 110% in the ring. He left it out there every night, no matter if the crowd had 50 to to 100,000 people. I mean, that's how I feel in the business too. 50 people out there, if I can make them 50 people go nuts and crazy, they're going to go home, they're going to get on that phone, call their buddy and say, man, you missed it.
Right.
You missed it, buddy. You missed it. You should have been at the matches tonight. That's how I feel about this business. You know, word of mouth is great. You know, that's how our business grows, you know.
Did you like being a singles wrestler or a tag team wrestler in Japan?
I like both. I like to prove to people that, excuse me, that I don't need a partner, and that I can go the distance. I mean, I can go. How I beat up my opponents is I'll wear them down.
Right.
I mean, I'll go a 20-minute match. I'm just starting to kick in.
Right.
You know, that's when I feel my second win's coming, and for our match would be. I'd love to do our matches. You know. I think that's how I could damage people, because it's where I wear them down. I'll keep wearing them, and they're in my hands, you know.
Now, how different is the style from U.S. wrestling and going to Japan? I mean, was it really hard to adjust to the different styles, as far as it being more stiffer and stuff like that?
Well, where I came from, we always stiff in Mid-South.
Right.
So I understood that. Coming back, the adjustment of going from Japan to come back here was a whole different thing.
Right.
You know, they wanted me to, first thing when I came into WWF, never been there before, got a great offer, got it all on piece of paper what they were planning on doing with me. You know, 6 months later, supposed to have a run with Stone Cold, Steve Austin, this and that, and never happened. It just, business is just like a whirlwind, though, man. Now you got me off on a different track there. What was the question again?
Oh, we were just talking about...
You'll have to cut that part.
We'll ask you about WWF probably in about an hour. I was going to ask you about... we were talking about the style difference.
Oh, yeah, okay. The style difference. I got off on WWF. I got a lot of stories about that.
We'll talk about them.
You know, the style's totally different. I mean, the rings are totally different. I mean, as soon as you get in the ring, you can feel the difference. I mean, it's hard as ground here. Here in the States, it's like a bungee board. I mean, a little trampoline.
Right.
I mean, springs, the rope springs with you.
Now, Bash 92, I believe, Bill Watts was booking WCW, he was in charge again, and he brought you and Terry Gordy back in. Did you see things a lot different when you came back to WCW because he was in charge, or was it the same thing, same company, you know?
Same company.
Right.
I got screwed there. I got screwed $50,000 from him. I had a $100,000 contract with him doing 100 days. And I fulfilled my end. Terry Gordy split out half the year, split because he got drugs. You know, I ain't gonna hide nothing from nobody. Drugs overtook his life, and so he couldn't perform. So he went home, and I stayed there for the company. You know, and that's when they put Stone Cold Steve Austin as my partner.
Right.
And we lost the belts. Matter of fact, we lost them right here in Philadelphia.
Right.
I don't know who we lost them to.
It could have been, was it Steamboat and Nikita? Or
Yeah, Steamboat and Nikita.
Right.
It was, yeah, it sure was, yeah.
What do you remember some of your matches with Barry and Dustin? Because I think you and Gordy worked a program with them.
Redneck boys to fight right there, you know. There's some big old boys, you know.
Right.
There wasn't too much high flying like you see today. When we fought them, you didn't see too much. It was down in the matter. It was brawling, you know.
Right.
It was no, I'm off the top rope doing a moonsault. You'll never see that. Never. No moonsault out of me. Sorry. No way.
Did you see a lot of potential in Steve Austin back in the day?
Oh, yeah. I saw a lot of potential, you know. I seen a lot of potential in a lot of guys. Right. But they just didn't use them right, you know. I seen Stone Cold blossom, you know. I mean, everybody knows the whole story. I'll put it on the tape for record. His name is Steve Williams, same as my name. And he worked over in Dallas. And he couldn't use Steve Williams because there's already a Steve Williams in the business. So they made him, they named him Steve Austin. And then he came back up into WWF after working with WCW, and then they came up with this coffee that Stone Cold, him and his wife, and it became Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, if we really want to get down to it and really want to find out who the real Steve Williams is, everybody needs to ride into Vince McMahon, but I don't think Stone Cold would go for it. But the real Steve Williams, please stand up. Okay? That should have been done about 2 years ago, but the way Vince McMahon runs his shows, it's how bad he can hurt the boys, not how bad he can. I won't get into that.
Also, Starcade '92, you worked against Jushin Liger and Ron Simmons. Was there any problems working with Liger because of politics at all, or?
No, not when I got him in the ring.
Right.
He was all mine then, you know.
Right.
I mean, you know, we could all put the question over to Liger. Well, yeah, put the question over Ron Simmons. I played against Ron Simmons in the Florida State Orange Bowl 2 years in a row. Then he's in wrestling, and so am I, beating the heck out of each other. You know what I mean? No, there was nothing against Liger. I mean, he came down here to do a job, and he did the job right.
Right. Now, you also worked...
Matter of fact, I worked with Liger and Sting
that same night, I think.
Was the same night?
Wasn't it? I think
I'm
it was
not
a
sure.
tournament.
Yeah, something like that. I remember.
Yeah, I think it was a tournament.
I think I had a hard time working with Sting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just because, you know, Sting was up to here then, you know.
Right. What about some of your matches with the Steiners, Rick and Scott?
They were on. They was just, they were exciting. People loved them. There was a lot of charisma with them, you know. It was wrestling, you know. It wasn't this high-flying stuff, and, you know. It was true wrestling. It was hard knocks, man. It was no complaining if you got a bruise on your elbow or a cherry on your face back then. Now the boys, they get a doggone hangnail, man. They're crying, and you know, if they got a mat burn on their knee, they're crying. You know, it's like, wow, you got all these Hollywood guys. That's what I call them. They're all Hollywood stars. They had to have that Hollywood. What's that game show called?
Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood Squares, man. That's what they are. They are. They're afraid to get. Hey, this ain't ballet. It's wrestling, man. And if something goes wrong, well, you're not gonna go cry to the boss. Oh, you're gonna hurt me. You can't use him no more. I won't work against him. Oh, come on, man. You think? The pro football players are saying that, you know, they beat up on each other every weekend. So who am I going to play that guy again? You know, come on. This is a one-on-one sport. It's wrestling, but here we go back again, Rob. The business has changed.
Oh yeah,
it's changed a lot. I mean, it make a lot of them old timers roll over in their grave.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
What actually led you to leaving WCW and going back to Japan?
Politics.
Were you pissed because of the constant turnaround of management?
Yep.
It seemed like there was always a different guy.
And I wasn't in a clique. I've never been in a clique, you know. Hey, clique? I don't know what clique is. You know, I'm my own man, you know. I've done it my way. I love to say this because I love his music. Old Blue Eyes. Frank Sinatra, the favorite song he always did. I did it my way, and that's how I did it. You know, I was never a clique. I never could fit in with these guys and go to their parties and come with the rolls, the big limos, and you know, fancy broads and this and that. You know, I wasn't into that, man. You know, I had my own way of doing it, and I believed just the way I handled myself in the business, handled myself in amateur. I mean, I always did it my way in amateur wrestling, amateur football, pro wrestling, and I wasn't going to bow down.
How about Johnny Ace? What is you left, you went back to All Japan, and then you teamed with Johnny Ace.
No, let me back you up on that one.
All right.
I left. No, Johnny Ace, Terry Gordy had a problem with drugs. They canned him. So they stuck Johnny Ace with Stan first.
Right.
To teach the kid. And they stuck him with me, and I taught him. So me and Stan taught Johnny Ace how to be a pro wrestler. Johnny Ace always had a tough time fitting in, trying to get his charisma, right? So we taught him, and then he was my partner. And then I left for WWF, and he jumped up into my position. So then when I came back, I had to earn my respect again and my honor and loyalty. And so he was about like this, and I was about like this. And, you know, then he got a great offer. Got a great offer from WCW. The way he handled it with All Japan wasn't businesslike, and it'll haunt him. One day he'll need. You know Rob, when people think of pro wrestling, you know who they really think about? They think of the legend Dr. Death, Steve Williams. I put W in wrestling. I was an amateur wrestler. I've got 3 belts retired at my house. World heavyweight champion, TV champion, another world heavyweight from UWF. I mean, I've held every title except WWF's world heavyweight title. You can't hold on to that unless you got your name Rock on it, right, or Stone Cold. So there's nobody going to take that. But I have done it, man. I have, from A to C, man. I've accomplished things that even when you're an amateur would love to do. I mean, I have the rings to prove it. That I was a 4-time All-American in wrestling, 1-time All-American in football, 3 Orange Bowl rings. 3 Orange Bowl rings, that's a Big 8 champion. I've got 2 Big 8 champion in football, 2 Big 8 champion in wrestling. I mean, I went and played with New Jersey Generals. I mean, I've done it, man.
Right.
And, and you look at this business, how it's changed and how it turns around, you're going, well, they'll learn. One day they'll come back to it where they have to come back to the hard knocks.
Oh, yeah. As a fan, I hope it does.
Me too. I mean, I'm a worker, but I'm a fan too. I mean, I can't watch it on TV right now. I can't watch it. There's no wrestling to it. There's more talking than there's wrestling.
It's true. Now, I don't want to backtrack or anything, but I did forget about Herb Abrams and UWF. What was Herb Abrams like? You actually worked as pay-per-view with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Wow. I got some good stories about that guy. Herb was great to me. I cannot knock him one bit. His lifestyle went beyond. I mean, I don't have nothing against Jewish, but it was the first Jewish guy I ever met, man. That's the portrayal I got about Jewish, man. And I mean, he lived a fast lane life, man. I mean, he paid me. He took care of me. He put me up in nice hotels, everything. I have nothing bad to say. My checks never bounced. They were right on. My money was right on. I mean, they picked me up in limousines. I was taken care of. I was his champion. Well, now, to your second part of your question is, what about the Bigelow match against me in Florida? Well, I'll put a little story with this. My daughter, now she's 20 years old. She was, I think, maybe 8 years old. And I had my wife there, and they were in the front row. And me and Bigelow was going at it, and it got a little juicy. Right. Bloody as could be. My daughter ran out, because she never seen her daddy bleed like that. And she ran out of that Coliseum, scared to death. I won the belt, man. I mean, blood was everywhere. Couldn't find my daughter after the match, or my wife, right? They were gone. Because, I mean, it looked like a bloodbath, in the ring. There was so much blood. But, I mean, that was, for a company that was so small, was getting so much recognition. Right. I mean, here we are having a pay-per-view. The way Herb ran business wasn't the way I like to run business, but he ran it that way. My check was always going to be there. My plane ticket, I was going to be fed, so I was with him. But his business tactics, I heard a lot about how he screwed some of the
Right.
coliseums and stuff like that. Well, people, you get to see this tape and stuff. It wasn't part of me. I was just an employee.
How about ECW? You went up there. You worked for Paul Heyman a little bit.
Wow, that was a whole different era there, you know. I was set up to come in and do a show, and Paul Lee, I've never done this before. You know, Paul Lee, I was a special guest coming in, and they did the old deal with wrestlers that put a towel over my head, and it was at the ECW Coliseum.
Right, the arena.
The arena, right. I'm just flying in from Japan, stopped off in Hawaii. I had, probably an 8-hour flight, so here I come, and I got a towel over me, and the people are screaming "R," and they don't know who it is, right? You know, and I get in, and when I got in the locker room, man, I went, wow, this is different here. There was every Tom, Dick, and Harry guy you can imagine. I mean, there was bar bouncers, there was, you know, policemen, there was the med people were there. I mean, because everybody would be split open or beat up in their matches, so they needed the ambulance, right? You had all kinds of people. You had people that, with ECW, you had guys that saw a company that they were building, and you know what? They went out and gave it their all.
Right.
Whatever they had in their heart, they gave it all for ECW. Now that's what I saw and what I was involved. That first night I came out, man, I had my robe and everything. It blew the whole place down. I mean, they didn't know Dr. Death was coming at all, man. And we were trying to reunite Terry Gordy's and my team. And
So you worked with the Eliminators, right?
yeah. And then I threw the manager over on.
Fun.
Yeah. Wow. That was wild, man. But, you know, they were trying to reunite the team there, and Terry still didn't get the bright light yet, man. It's kicked out of everything. So we couldn't keep that going. But I'll tell you, though, ECW, man, it shows you how a small company can make it so big if you got everybody behind you and that want to work for you.
Right.
You know? Paulie took care of me. I mean, he didn't take care of me like Sabu and some of his boys. And now I hear the stories, he really didn't take care of them. But he paid me, because how I ran my deal was, I lived in Hawaii. I was going through a divorce. And I worked it out where I could come by ECW, do some shows, fly back, get to see my boy.
Right.
Take care of that. I took care of my airplane and everything, and adjusted everything, and he paid for it. But before I got to the arena, I was paid in cash. I mean, because if I had to come all the way across the pond, I wanted the cash in my hand, and then we'll rock and roll, you know. Because I heard a little bit of shadiness with Paulie, you know, and I wasn't. I don't know. Philadelphia's always had a little stick to me after Joe Goodhart, you know. I always did, you know, but you know, Paulie took care of me. Everything went well, and that's WWF kept calling me and set me up. I said, "Well, Paulie, what can you do for me, man? They're offering me this." He says, "I'd take it." Straight up guy. He said, "I can't cover what they want to offer you." And I said, "Okay." So it got to be the point where I was getting too worn out from flying back from Japan to Hawaii back into ECW, and then to Dallas, then back into ECW, back up to Hawaii, change pags, and head to Japan. I got wore out, you know, but hey, no complaints, man. They took care of me.
You worked with Raven too.
Yeah. I put Raven over, and he got an $850,000 contract after that with WCW.
Right. Before you went to the World Wrestling Federation, I just want to ask you about Gary Albright, and what are your memories of Gary?
Wow. I know Gary's and his family so well, man. It's a hard thing. I was gone, and we were just bringing back the varsity team. I mean, TOP. It wasn't called the varsity team. It was just called TOP. And they let him off the January tour and brought me back. And I just talked to him. It was New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and they're all out in the backyard with their family and shooting off firecrackers and just having a blast, And he was so tickled to death I was coming back and reunite the team and everything. And he's out riding his mountain bike, getting in shape and everything. He was a diabetes, had a problem with that and everything. And he was taking care of himself, looking after his body, man. I talked to him 2 nights before he passed away. One more time, it was gun ho, man. We're going to be rock and roll when we get back, man. It's everything. So it was all fired up, And next thing I knew, I was on the bus and got the phone call and told me he passed out in the ring. Passed away out in the ring in Allentown. And that was a shocker, man. I mean, so young, But, he's in a better place too, man.
Right.
He's not going to have to hurt no more. Have to stick a needle in him because he's a diabetes. I mean, I seen him do that. I know that it's got to bother somebody. Because a diabetes have to hit yourself with a blade every needle all the time, man. I mean, it's got to get to you after a while, right?
Right.
So, but he's in a better place and his family's doing well. And if you know the Samoans, they are strong people. So, they're survivors.
Right. Can you talk about the near-death experiences with Terry Gordy, or?
Well, my near deaths is watching a guy get on an airplane. It's, accumulated so many pills and done so much crack cocaine that I'm having to push him on the airplane with a handicapped wheelchair. And, I put him in the airplane. There was a lot of feds there. This is the second time. A lot of feds were there, dogs sniffing everything. And they was telling me he can't get on the airplane. I said, hey, he's got to make it. We've got big shows coming up and everything. And I had to convince him, and I talked to him and everything. And they said, well, he can't drink one. I said, he ain't going to drink nothing. He's out, he's out. So got on an airplane, man. He's out. And I finally go to sleep, and it's 30 minutes before the plane lands. I get up. I'm sitting next to him. I look at him, and he's dying on me. I mean, he's turned blue, and he's sucking barely any air, and like he was about to swallow his tongue. And I used to be able to knock him back loose if I slapped him a couple times in the face or kick him out of it, Just like if you put somebody asleep,
right.
If you hit him in the back, it'll knock him back out of it. Well, I did it, and he wouldn't come back alive. So right then I knew he was dying. I was giving him CPR. Stewardess got up, man. They was all freaking out, and I was giving him CPR to keep him alive from dying, man. To keep him alive, I was doing CPR to keep that heart going. As soon as we landed, the ambulance was right there and took him out of there, and he was in a coma for 7 days. And he didn't know anything, and his wife had to come and take care of him while I had to work, and it was hard for me to work because my mind was on him. First time he dropped on me, accumulated too many pills. It was halcyons. Accumulated too many, and went and worked a match when it was 100 degrees. Probably sweated off 10 pounds of water weight and drank a 12-pack of beer and accumulated the pills. And we went out that night, and he just dropped, and I did the same thing, CPR. And ambulance took him, but it didn't level him all the way like the second time. He was in the hospital. He didn't remember what happened. When they brought me in, I had to refresh his mind and tell him what he'd done and this and that. And I tried to straighten him up from there, and and I got him involved in the church, and I got him to lose weight. I got him training, working out, and thought it was for the best. Well, all the glory and the glitter is great in our business, but you never know what's going on besides the business inside your family. You know, most of the boys will say, "Oh, it was my wife." Well, it's a two-way street.
Right.
The wife's got to get along with the husband. The husband has to get along with the wife. It's an awful tough job. In our business here, to find a fantastic wife, a lady like mine, she's been through it, so she knows, and I can put hands down that she'll be there through anything with me. And you find a good wife, you want to hold on to her, and you want to have respect. And when you get kids, man, you sure don't want them to grow up like you did when you was in 20. When I was 20 years old, man, I was indestructible. You couldn't hurt me. I did it all. From A to Z, I did it all. And I don't want my 8-year-old boy, Wyndham, or my daughter, Stormy, who's 20, is getting married. I don't want them to be that way.
Right.
You know, I got a grip of my life right now, man. And a better grip of life on it now than I did when I was 20. When I was 20, man, life was a blur, man. I mean, cocaine, pills, pot, it was all over. You know, and to see my partner die on me twice and to see other guys who've OD'd, that's a scary deal, you know. You know, I'm going to pop this back at you again. You asked me about pain pills. I believe in them if you do them the right way.
Right.
If you're going to mix pain pills and alcohol, that's not what it says on the label. You take that GHB and a pain pill, that's not what it tells you to do. The doctor tells you exactly how to take it. Don't be a freak of nature and think you can take 12 or 20 or 100, where I've seen boys take at least 100 Alshons. To me, that would have killed me.
Right.
But these guys are big and they're immune to it. They've done it before. But, you know, it's life, you know, I look at it, because I was there, man. I did all the wildness. But you know what I found out? There's something better in life than sitting there doing that line or smoking that hooter or having a broad. You know what I mean? Life is a lot better. You know what's really great for me, man? Is I divorced my wife, grew up and remarried her, and I've got 2 beautiful kids where I don't want my kids not even involved with alcohol, drugs, or anything. I mean, I couldn't imagine seeing my son walk around, "Hey, Dad, you got a joint? You want to smoke over here with me? I'll bring you a beer, okay?" I don't want to see that. I'm 40 now, man, and I'm grown up, and life is good to me. I got the best guy behind me, and that's the good Lord above. I mean, who else do you want on your side besides him?
Right.
You know?
How'd you wind up in the World Wrestling Federation?
Oh, boy. My good friend, JR. JR, good old buddy, good old JR. He called me, hooked up with me 3 times. And the first 2 times, you know, I didn't want to leave Japan. Well, finally, the business was in a process of going, we got to take the top dogs from each company. If you remember, WWF was grabbing so many top guys from each company because he was building that stable, right?
Right.
So they finally came up with a figure and some things I reworded on the contract, and we agreed on it. Well, I went and I had to do a tryout match. 19 years in the business.
When I read that, I was like, why did he need to try out?
I didn't know. It was against Scorpio, too. You know,
Right.
and Scorpio's a good worker, too. I couldn't believe I needed a tryout match. Well, I did the tryout match. We got the contract and everything, but everything that they promised me was all totally BS. I mean, I got torn hamstring. I've got a torn hamstring and a butt muscle I'm going to have for the rest of my life because of how WWF performed their services with me. They did this Brawl for All.
Were you pressured into that at all, or was that
for $100,000?
Right.
$100,000, man. I was looking at $100,000. You know, I was pressured into it by who I am, strongest man in the business and the toughest man in the business, to win the tournament. But the $100,000 was for my family. What I was thinking about, $100,000, I grabbed that $100,000, I'll put it in my kids' education fund, don't even have to worry about That was 6 years old. You guys can imagine having $100,000, 6 years
Right.
old. The time you're 20, he's set. I wouldn't have to worry about it, right? That's what I was worried. Then I told all Tim Ross and Pritchard, they all called me. I said, now hold on now. What happens if I hurt one of your players? You know?
Right.
Nothing will happen. Your contract will be okay and everything. It's okay. So that's what I was worried about, taking somebody's leg and driving. Because as a shooter, you shoot for an ankle and drive your knee, shoulder in their knee, and you can pop a guy's knee easy, you know? Well, that happened to me. You know, Bart, you know, he was the knockout system, man. He was knocking them out, and so all I knew what to do was protect myself, but I knew I could take down anybody.
Right.
And that's what I do for a living, right? And I was winning 25-5, man. He faked that punch, and I went to block, and he sucked my legs out from underneath me. Half my body went outside that ring, and he had my legs, and half my body went out the ring. I could feel it all tear, and it just popped. And like, the instinct I have is I don't quit. I don't know how to be a quitter. I always strive to be best. And so when I got back up, I knew it was messed up. And there's no, they knew it too, man. I mean, it was on TV. You could see when I was hurt. And when I got up, he went ahead and blown the whistle. And I walked right into him, my arms down, everything. Punched, knocked me right back out. Boom. And you know what? I didn't even know I was knocked out because I was more worried about my leg. I called my wife at the hotel room. And she said, "You okay?" I said, "Hey, I'm okay." You know, he said, "No. Are you sure you're okay?" I said,
Right.
"Yeah, babe." I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." She says, "You know you got knocked out." Me? I had knocked out? No, not Dr. Death. I've never been knocked out in my life, right, man? You know, I've been hit with everything you name, too. And hit with the strongest guys. And I said, no. He said, "Oh, yeah, your eyes were rolling in the back of your head. You look like you were trying to swallow your tongue." I said, no, not me, right? Tough guy, right? Steve Wayne. So here I am. I told her, I said, "Yeah, I got torn hamstring and a butt muscle. I'm staying right across from the L.A. Hospital there." And the next day, man, I couldn't believe it, man. I was so swelled up. I had so much blood in there. But, you know, they tried to make somebody, and that Brawl for All just flopped right in their lap, you know.
Right.
The office loved it. They loved seeing the boys beat up on each other.
Why don't you think they worked that tournament? I mean, why?
I told them.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, "I can work this
Right.
into a shoot.
Right.
That's what I do in Japan." Oh, no. Now, I never portrayed as a boxer. I'm an amateur wrestler.
Right.
When you cover my palms, you're taking away everything because you can't do nothing. I can box you. I can fight you.
Right.
You know, and I'll get you down. I'll gouge you, man. But when you cover me up, I couldn't hook onto the guy, you know. I'd have to hook right here and pull it in because my hands, your thumbs are hooked like that. You couldn't hook them, right? But you know what? That whole tournament was so much BS. Dan Severance, great guy, man. I wrestled him, beat him, hit the NCAs. He was a pinning artist. Great guy, man. He went out there. He knew what he was doing. He stalled him out. He'd take him down and hold on to him, and that's what wrestlers do.
Right.
Okay, well, WWF changes their mind, changes the rules. All right, if you take him down, you got to let him back up. Okay? But it's okay for the guy, if you're in the corner, he can keep punching you.
Right.
You know, you can't clear that, right? You should have been, you know, as soon as a guy was up in the corner, they were beating the crud out of him, right? There was no stop. You know, in a regular boxing fight, they would have stopped it, right? So they kept changing. You know.
Now, do you think when WWF asked you to work for FMW, do you think they did that to try to make you quit?
Well, Rob, how'd you know about it? Yeah. I tell you what, Rob, is the whole story behind the gist of it. Let me get to the nitty-picky stuff. Is, you know, if anybody's ever had a torn hamstring and torn butt muscle, you don't come back just like that. It took me a while, and I trained hard because I just don't lay down. And main thing, a lot of boys have done it in our business, have sat there and just collected their paycheck and stayed home. I can't do that, man. I'm a true legend in what I do, and like I said, I put W in wrestling, and I'm a wrestler. When I got hurt, that was a challenge for me to come back and to prove myself, and I did. I came back. I was weighing about 285, 290 when it all happened, and I came back at like 249. I was cut to shred, eating right. I was training right, trying to get my legs. You know, most doctors will tell you that if you stitch a muscle, 50% will tear it again. You know, it's just like a stitch on a shirt. It's easier to rip open, right? So, what was you asking me? Well, I forgot the question.
About FMW.
FMW.
Right.
Sorry, I got off on this. So, you know, here I did everything possible to get back in shape, and all of a sudden that UPN channel came up.
SmackDown.
You know, SmackDown, right? And they worked me right in that deal. They said, get ready, man, you know. We're going to put you in a SmackDown, you know, we'll get you ready. And Jim Ross goes, you think maybe you could go to a ring and video your workouts and so we can see how you're looking? I said, what, Jim? 19 years in the business, man. You want me to go and get videoed in the ring? I said, whatever it takes, brother. I want to get back in the ring, okay? So I went over to Dallas to a buddy of mine, Cedric of Hollywood, who has a gym and a ring. And I got in there and we'd work it and video it and I'd send it to him and everything. They was all pulling, you know, UPN channel. So all of a sudden, then they called me up and they says, we want you to go to our doctor to get cleared.
Right.
I've never been cleared. You know, when I got hurt, they never sent me a doctor. I went to my doctor, who was top orthopedic doctor, sports doctor there, Dr. Bunder. Well, they never cleared it, never was on a written paper or anything that I was cleared. So I had to go over to Birmingham and see Dr. Andrews, their doctor,
Right.
to get cleared. Well, he saw what I had, torn butt muscle and a hamstring, and he goes to me, he says, yeah, it's up to you. It's not up to me. Do you want to go back to work? I said, yeah, doc. I want to go back to work. I don't want to sit at home no more. I want to go do what I do, and I love to do. So he said, I'm going to clear you then. So he cleared me, boom. Jim Ross got his paperwork from the doctor and everything. A week later, I get a phone call from Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard says, we want you to go to Japan and wrestle for FMW. I said, well, Bruce, I really wouldn't like to go back. You know, I signed with WWF for 3 years. I'd like to stay here, you know. So, as I just put it, the wording was really technical on here. See, I said I wouldn't like to go. Well, the next day I got a fax from their lawyer saying that I breached the contract because I told them I wasn't going to go.
Right.
So I get on the phone with Jim Ross. Jim, what's going on, man? Why are you guys doing this? I got a family to take care of. I got to feed my kids, you know. And he says, well, they said Bruce called you and said you demand that you weren't going. I said, no. I wouldn't like to go back. I signed a contract with you guys. I want to stay here and work with you guys. Bottom line was, I wasn't going to go back to Japan and work for a different company.
Right.
When I worked with the top NFL, just like the NFL, All Japan, I wasn't going to, that would have hurt me.
Right.
You know, so I seen what they were doing, and I knew no matter what, if they couldn't use me with WWF, they're just going to screw me back over in All Japan by making me work for another company. Well, make the long story short, for $1 million. That's what I got screwed out of. Okay? As you guys probably know, I got at the same time I got hit up for the deadbeat dad case, where a girl pointed her finger and said I was the father of a 13-year-old kid. Well, that cost a lot of money. It cost me $100,000 to prove that I was innocent. I had to take 2 DNA tests to prove that I wasn't. Make a long story short, again, we're going to get technical on this lawyer stuff. To go back and fight Vince McMahon, who's got buck money, got bunches. I just lost $100,000 to lawyers to prove that I wasn't a girl's father of her child. Here I am looking at WWF where they owe me $1 million. And the only way I can fight them is if I have some more money in my pocket to go back to fight them to get a guy, a middleman. It's obligation or some kind of technical
litigation.
Arbitration.
Arbitration, thank you very much. He's the middleman who listens to both the stories, and then they go to court. Well, I had to pay him a bunch of money right off the bat. I said, well, after the $100,000, that meant more to me to prove that I wasn't the father of a child.
Right.
Because I already got 2 kids and a wife, right? So I fought that until I lost all my money. And couldn't fight WWF, so really I lost $1 million out of the whole deal with WWF. So in 1 year, I've regained myself and tread water where I'm still trying to regain what I lost. But, you know, I learned a lot from my mistakes. Well, it wasn't my mistake, but I learned from the mistakes what happened to me in my life. And I'll tell you one thing I believe in, and it's said in the Bible. Do unto others as you'd like them to do unto you. Because whatever they've done to you, it's going to turn around and bite them right back on the booty. And I promise you. Because I did with WCW. I came back, WCW called me up and said, hey, you want to do this Jim Ross Oklahoma deal? And I said, sure, man. This is my figure, $50,000. What they screwed me out of.
Right.
I got my $50,000. It always comes back. I don't care what anybody says. Good man, Bubble.
Now, did Jim Ross ever call you during the time you went to WCW and did that deal?
Oh, no. I just talked to Jim Ross for the first time about a month ago.
Did you guys settle things up? Or?
No, there was no settle. I didn't talk about nothing. I'm booking for All Japan. I was trying to get some of his boys to work the Dome show.
Right.
Well, the only thing Jim Ross could talk about is, how about them Boomer Sooners? How about them Boomer Sooners? You know, a mark for the Sooners. You know, it's great, man. We got a turnaround, you know, it's great.
Right.
You know, why don't you ask me about how my family is from you hit me off $1 million that my family were. He sat on a telephone for 2 hours convincing my wife that I should go to WWF. Think about what he did to my children, that I'm having to go out here. I've got a torn hamstring, torn butt muscle. And we shooting now, cameras, because I mean it. Jim Ross lamed me for the rest of my life. I've got a torn hamstring and torn butt muscle. I lost $1 million. Where I'm 40, I could have been retired in a couple of years because I know what to do with my money, you know. But now I'm waiting, like we was talking before. You always need a wrestler. It's going to come down to that.
Right.
They're going to have to make that phone call again.
Before we go back to All Japan, you wrestled, I think, some of the Luchadors. They said you were really stiff with them or something like that, like Hoovy or something.
Oh, they just flew.
All right.
I wasn't stiff. They flew, man. I mean, you know, they just, you know what the whole thing is, Rob? It's Jim Ross told me to come in here and work just like I work in All Japan.
Right.
Stiff. I said, great, your boys going to be okay with that? Yeah. We want you to come back. Because they were wanting people to get tightened up a little bit, you know? So I said, okay. And they said, you know my side suplex, most devastating move in professional wrestling? Yeah. Well, they wanted me to do it, man, you know? They even wanted me to do it to the writer.
Eddie Ferrer?
Mr. Oklahoma.
Right.
Mr. Oklahoma. I was trying to tell him in the locker room, I said, don't jump. Because when he jumped, man, he's flying, you know. I mean, with my strength and my leverage, I know how to do it. Boy, he jumped, man. I thought I snapped his neck on TV. You know, I mean, they jump. They're doing it themselves. Let me just do it.
Right.
I've been doing this all my life. That move is a wrestler. That's a real wrestler's move, you know. So as soon as a couple guys got bipped on the head, man, it's like Bob Holly. He complained and cried about it, and that's probably the last time we saw him. It was after I did Bob Holly.
Right.
But I did what I was told. I mean, when I got a contract with WWF, I was looking at Rob. I was saying, $1 million contract. I'm out of here, brother.
Right.
I'm done. I can invest my money, I'd be done. I don't know about all these other guys making all this millions and they're still working. They spend it or whatever, but brother, 1 million would take care of me.
Right.
I'd be done, retired. I'd be in a different business, but you know, it's going to bite them all back on the booty again. You know, it always does, man.
Now, when you went back to All Japan, what are your thoughts on Misawa and his defection?
The way he did Mrs. Baba, and I'd say, God bless his soul, Mr. Baba, I believe they totally screwed. I mean, they took care of him. Mr. and Mrs. Baba could not have kids because of the giant. And they took care of them other boys like they were their own kids. You know, they had free meals, money every day. They lived good lives. To turn around and do that to them, man, it's going to hurt them too. That's hurting them right now. They're having problems too, you know.
Right.
Guys aren't happy. But, you know, for a guy that took care of him all those years and he passed away in 1 year's time, come back and screw the whole company.
Do you think a lot of wrestlers didn't like Baba's wife, or?
Oh, that's what I was told.
Right.
The Japanese boys, they didn't like her, but because she's a female.
Right.
You know, Japan females are like, you know, second hand, you know. I mean, they're below the man and everything, so they didn't want them above there, you know.
Right. What was the deal between Vader and All Japan? What exactly happened there?
Well, he made a deal with All Japan with Giant Baba. Giant Baba passed away. Well, then it was Misawa was the president, and the contract reversed over on Misawa's deal. And I guess Misawa already knew he was headed out, right? So Vader made his whole deal and everything, and he's sweet as can be. He's happy. You know, I just talked to Vader 2 days ago on the phone, and you know, he's the top guy. That's what he always wanted to be. I mean, him when we worked together in New Japan, he was the top guy. That's what he wants. He's at an age now, and his security is not where it used to be. I mean, he's at a territory now. He's the top gaijin, so he's happy.
What are your thoughts on the working relationship with All in New Japan?
I think it's great. You know, they ought to do it here in the country. You know, some of the talent together would feed off of them, you know, but everybody's got an ego, man. You know, Rob, I had to beam on the egos, man. How can anybody in this business have an ego? It's a work. Bottom line, it's a work, man. How can you have an ego? You know, I mean, the deal with New Japan, All Japan just proves to you the system can work. I mean, why not help each other out?
Right.
I mean, that's what they're doing over there. They're helping each other out. I mean, I've had some matches with some of their boys, man. Chono. I mean, I'm hoping the match is made that it's Mike Rotunda and me against Chono and another boy. I forgot what his name is, but
Tenzan.
The orange outfit.
Kojima's
and Chono against me and Mike Rotunda in the Dome show. That'd be the highlight, you know. They all asked me who I wanted to work against. I said, I don't want to work against no American. I want to work against Japanese. I'm a heel in Japan. I'm not a babyface.
Right.
And Americans matches nothing like contending against the Japanese, you know.
Do you think that here's a question. Do you think most Americans can adjust to the Japanese style?
No.
No.
Rob, I'll just tell you, man, I am the booker, American booker for All Japan.
I was going to ask you what your role is right now.
I never wanted this position, but I'm in the position now, and I'm in my career right now where, hey, I'll take that responsibility because I've had to deal with, are they going to pay me? Are they not going to pay me? I mean, I've had to deal with, besides putting all my mind on my game, how to run my business. So I have people calling me, emailing me now, brother, faxing me. I got them all wanting jobs.
If you could take 3 Americans right now over to Japan, who would they be? That are not already over there.
I'd take Dustin Rhodes. I'd take Kurt Hennig. Well, I'd take two other guys, the Steiners.
Right.
That's all I think could handle it, you know. But to Rob, it's not the work; it's living in their country.
Right.
I mean, I know how they live, and I know how to talk like them. I know how to eat with them. I know how to use their sticks, you know.
Right.
But that's what you got to learn. You got to learn that when you leave here, you've got 3 weeks in their country, so you got to live like that. As soon as you start going, hey, I want some water! Nobody's bringing water, brother. You know, hey, see my son, Omizu Kudasai, you get somebody. You
right.
know? And it's like here in the States, you know, hey, bag, give me a bag of water. Something, you know, you don't do that. It's the same way over there. I seen guys come in and they just start screaming for their food. First thing you see one of the little Japanese people,
right.
they go, oh my God, well, I don't know what to do now, right? You just got to be, hey, got to go with the flow.
Why do you think Kawada and Fuchi stayed with Miss Baba while everyone else left?
Because I heard a lot of conflict between Masao and Kawada, a lot of conflict.
I was going to ask you if there's a lot of heat between them.
A lot of stuff going on there. And you know what? I believe, too, Kawada sees an opportunity. And the way I'm going to sum this one up, brother, is I'd have never left Mrs. Baba.
I was going to ask you, why did you stay?
She's got all the money. She's wealthy with her own family, besides being married to Mr. Baba and have that company. What she knows in the business, she knows the losses and the pluses. 1 week you might not have a good show. The next week you might have a good one. She can count on this, and she knows her money with, I'm not going to knock Knowles or Mizawa's sponsor or his money man, but he's a businessman. He doesn't know the wrestling business. Right. You know, and I mean, a lot of them, even in the States, oh, we're going to get a promotion going. I got a big money guy. First minus man, the guy's going, whoa. Right. Hold on, man. I can't have a loss like this. You know what I'm saying? Right. But she can, because she's done dealt with it for, what now, 29, she's going on 30 years, man. You know?
Is it true that the last original All Japan tour, Misawa and all the Noah wrestlers had separate locker rooms and they didn't talk to some of the guys?
Yeah. Everybody played their little game, you know. They had their little spots and everything. But you know what's great is all the Americans who stayed there and stayed with her. You know, I mean, it just shows you, they talk about loyalty and honor over in Japan. There was no loyalty there, man. Right. Or honor. They didn't care. They were going.
Why do you think Johnny Ace didn't stay or go to Noah? Why do you think he...
Well, Johnny Ace probably would have ended up going to Noah, but he had something cooking, and I guess could you smell what the Johnny Ace was cooking? But he had something cooking in the background. And what I heard, you know, I mean, I was at the airport when I heard he wasn't coming. I called him on my cell phone. I said, what's the deal? He said, hey, man, let me just tell you. I got a heck of a deal here. I don't have to take any bumps, and I get to see my kid grow up. You know, tell me nothing, man. You get an offering like that, but it's like I told him, I said, but you're going the wrong way of doing this. Right. All this is going down, and you're cutting her off. She depends on you. And all of a sudden, they're Japanese left. You're a name over there, and all of a sudden I got a upfront money. I said, well, you could have worked around that. You could have still got the upfront money. Told them I got to go finish 3 weeks. I mean, they weren't hurting that bad to need somebody, you know. Right.
How did the New Japan and All Japan feud start, and what side came to who to approach the feud? Like, did All Japan go to New Japan, or did New Japan go to All Japan?
I think both of them approached each other because they know they need the help. Right. And it's happened before. In years before they've done it, you know. I think they've realized that, you know, because it's the same guys for New Japan. It's the same guys for All Japan. And if you mix it up, there's a little bit of, it's like going to a buffet, man. If you only got two things there, it's not called a buffet. Right. You know, so if you mix it all up together, you got something going. If you can understand what I'm trying to relate to, you know what I mean?
Do you think some of the wrestlers and even some of the fans feel that Miss Baba is kind of selling out for working with New Japan and bringing back like former All Japan wrestlers like Tenryu and Onita because Giant Baba might not have ever let it happen?
No, I feel that she knows where she's at right now, and that Tenryu's a great talent. Sure, he went out just like Misawa did, and you know, I guess they can learn how to take apology and say, I'm sorry, you know,
Right.
I did wrong, you know, I'm not perfect, you know, it's just like me, man. I tell everybody, well, I saw you and you got busted. Hey, brother, I wasn't perfect. I mean, I'm a human being. You know, it's the same way with her. That, you know, all these people who dumped her and now she's brought them back, but she knows she needs them. And if they're coming back to reform a family, then let's go with it.
Right.
Let's quit worrying about the backstab and all this stuff that happened. Let's get back to the business.
Do you think the current All Japan New Japan feud will essentially destroy All Japan, just like what happened with New Japan and UWFI? Or
No, I don't think so. I think that soon as everything this year will be the big test, and this Tokyo Dome for All Japan.
right.
It's all about money, buddy. If they can draw a good card, make some money, we can last for another year. But they've got to get some big Japanese names to keep running. That's the way I look at it. I can choose me Americans. Hey, I got them beating at my door, wanting to go.
Right.
But it's a whole different story.
What is your most memorable wrestling match? One that sticks out in your head that you'll never forget.
Kobashi,
The
best match of the year, 42-minute match, 19 days after the knee operation. I did a belly-to-belly off the top rope with him. Nobody ever did that. I did that off the top, and then I reversed it belly-to-belly. I mean, I did something nobody ever done, big guys like we did, you know. And to go out and do everything I had, that was memorable.
Would he be also your favorite guy that you ever worked with?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Who was your least favorite guy that you ever worked with?
Ric Flair.
Really?
I have to say Ric Flair because he never gave me a chance.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've worked, there's not one guy in this business I can say that I couldn't work with, you know, but I can say that Ric Flair wouldn't work against me.
What was the, as far as road...
Woo! Boy, tell that story.
As far as road stories, what was some of the greatest ribs that you might have ever seen or took part of?
Ribs?
Yeah.
I'm not into ribs.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've seen some bad ribs, and I like funny ribs. You know what I mean? I'll do a funny rib, man, but I'm turning around the corner and I'm laughing because I've said something. Most of the boys who know me know that I don't pull heavy ribs,
right.
You know, because, you know, some ribs I've seen and heard, man, can hurt you. They hurt your family, your feelings, and, you know, hey, I tell you what, man, my experience on the road has always been good. I don't have one bad story. Everybody says, Doc, when you're coming out with a book, well, just hold on. It's going to come out, but it'll have all them good stories, you know. But they were all memorable. Bottom line, Rob, I got to tell you is that I've been blessed. There's many times that I could have been in the same boat as all of our buddies.
I was going to ask you about
Jake the Snake, Terry Gordy, Eddie Gilbert. I could have fallen in that same kind of footsteps. The good Lord has looked after me. He's picked me up so many times that when I've fallen, that it's amazing. And for me to get reborn and how it's changed my life, and to know that I have so much faith in the Lord, no matter what happens to me. If the WWF took $1 million away from me, a woman took $100,000 away from me, as long as I've got faith in Him, there ain't nothing can faze me.
Right.
Nothing.
In closing, do you want to say anything to your fans out there?
I just want to tell you all, thank you very much for the 19 years that I've been in the business, and I'm still going strong. I'm not laying down yet. I might have 3 broken ribs, but hey, I've gone through 2 tours already with them, taped up like a mummy. But I just want to tell you all, thank you very much for being my fan and supporting me through the good and the bad, because there's been some good and the bad in my career. And I just want to tell you all, God bless you. And just remember this, the best is yet to come.
Do you have any other questions? Nope. I'd like to thank you. Thank you very, very much for coming here.
It's been a privilege to sit with you guys and rap with you, Rob. And it's great to be involved with this.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
TitleMatchNetwork.com